With just 8 months until the midterms, rising energy costs, inflation, and market instability are increasingly shaping voter sentiment. Economic strain is translating into political risk for the Republican Party as more Americans question whether the Trump regime's promises of a strong economy were ever realistic. They were not. Donald has grown visibly frustrated with the coverage of his war, despite the fact that he still has not clearly articulated why he started the war in the first place. Meanwhile, Americans are watching the human and financial costs mount, lives lost, household budgets stretched, investments undermined, and even some longtime supporters are beginning to waver, a shift now reflected in Donald's declining approval ratings. To illustrate just how dire this situation is for Donald, Harry Enton of CNN walks us through some of the dismal approval ratings Donald is now getting.
Now, right now, the largest 4-week gas price increase since at least 1991. You have to go all the way back since the Bills played in their first Super Bowl to find increases this high. We're talking about up 33%. Look at the Dow Jones. Down it goes through the floor. We're talking about down 8%. U.S. troops on the ground in Iran. Look at this. We're talking about 12%. That is less than a bar mitzvah. Less than a bar mitzvah. Support it. 12%. War net approval rating a month in. The Iraq War, of course, that was George W. Bush. We're talking about April in 2003. And we're talking about the Iran war now with Donald Trump. Net approval rating U.S. military action in Iran. Canada, Japan, the United Kingdom. Look at these numbers. Look at these net approval ratings. Take a look at Donald Trump's overall net approval rating. This is the lowest of his term, the lowest of his second term. We're talking about minus 17 points, 17 points underwater. So I went back and I looked at all of the presidents at this point in a presidency, all of them at this point in a presidency. And guess what? Donald Trump is the lowest ever.
I think there's something worth repeating here. Donald is underwater in every category, yes, but, and I think this is something Donald should know, so repeat it, far and run. Donald Trump is now officially the least popular president in American history. Let me rephrase. Donald Trump is the most unpopular president in American history. I mean, he likes being, the best. So congratulations, Donald. You are now the best at being the most unpopular. To help get him out of the mess that he's created, Donald has been publicly pressuring the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, to cut interest rates, even though, quite frankly, that would make things worse for him, but he doesn't understand how the economy works. So he's just looking at the fact that high interest rates, in his mind, make him look bad. He posted the following on his failing social media platform, that rates should be lowered immediately. But because of his war of choice in Iran, markets now expect no rate cuts in 2026 as inflation continues to rise. Again, because of Donald's decision to wage war against Iran. Surging energy prices have put the Fed in a bind, caught between war-driven inflation on the one hand and political pressure to ease rates on the other. According to Oxford Economics, a worst-case scenario could see U.S. inflation climb to around 5% by the second quarter of 2026. That would be up from 2.4% today, the highest since March 2023, potentially forcing the Fed to take a more hawkish stance, including possible rate hikes later this year, again, as a direct result of Donald's folly. Oxford Economics says, quote, the energy crisis isn't recessionary yet, but there's a scenario where oil prices could bring the U.S. economy to a standstill, unquote. And by the way, that would have a massive impact on the global economy as well. But before we go on, please like and share this video. And if you believe in our mission, please subscribe to the Mary Trump Media channel. All of this highlights the tension between political goals and economic reality. Markets and central bankers are reacting to facts, generally speaking, not Donald's campaign rhetoric and not his kind of increasingly lame attempts to manipulate the markets. Analysts at Goldman Sachs and others warned that sustained high energy prices from the Trump regime's war in Iran could slow economic growth and push unemployment up to 4.6% by the third quarter, with increasing risks to GDP and consumer spending. Now, that would put us very close to the election. Some economists caution the U.S. may be heading towards stagflation. This is a dangerous mix of rising inflation and slowing growth, which was rampant in the 1970s. And this would be driven by elevated energy costs, geopolitical instability, and a strained labor market. This is not just short-term volatility. If conditions persist, it could stall spending, squeeze businesses, and put lasting financial pressure on American families for months or even years to come. Temporary discomfort is one thing. And I think if the cause is a righteous one, it is reasonable to ask the American people to make some sacrifices. But the Iran war is not a reasonable, righteous cause. And the fact that Americans are paying the price for it is unacceptable. Prolonged energy shocks and market volatility could leave a lasting mark on the economy and potentially, and perhaps hopefully, on the political landscape. Higher oil prices don't just impact gas, they ripple across the entire economy. Why? Well, because we need gas to move goods from point A to point B. Therefore, costs for food, manufacturing, shipping, and retail products go up. If prices stay elevated, central banks like the Federal Reserve are more likely to keep interest rates higher, which can further slow economic growth. There's also a psychological effect we need to look at. When consumers and businesses expect prices to keep rising, spending shifts, investment slows, and uncertainty spreads, embedding inflation into the broader outlook. The economy was meant to be the Trump regime's strongest argument. Not sure why, though, because Donald has never told the truth about what he was going to do, or at the very least, he has never been able to fulfill any of his economic promises. Because here we are. Everything that's going wrong with the economy is his fault. Rising energy costs, inflation, and instability. All of these are down to his disastrous economic policies and are, or at least should be, serious political vulnerabilities that shape not just the markets, but how voters experience and judge their economic reality. These are facts. These are not opinions. And we are going to continue to keep an eye on what Donald's disastrous war of choice and his heretofore disastrous economic policies, like his ill-considered and reckless tariffs, are continuing to do to the American economy, yes, but also to the bottom line of the American people. Please like and share this video, and if you believe in our mission, please subscribe to the Mary Trump Media channel. Thanks.